I'm not actually smart. I'm like tricking everyone into letting me into these smart people classes because I'm working so much harder just to be in these, smart kid classes. I tricked them.
It's kind of up a little bit. Hi, you guys. Welcome to my channel. And welcome to my channel. If you are new, hope you're having a wonderful day or morning or whenever you're watching this. Today we are watching, I already kind of previewed it, this lady's ADHD diagnosis story. I was also, how long ago was this? How many pill bottles ago was this? Maybe like 6 months ago, diagnosed with ADHD at like 23 years old. I had to think about how old I was. So, kind of bringing awareness to this, I thought we could talk a little bit about why someone would be diagnosed with ADHD so late in life, to kind of break this stigma that there's, oh, you're faking it or whatever, because there is some of that online. So, we'll talk about some just general symptom things of ADHD. So ADHD in women looks different. So women are less likely to be diagnosed than males. They're susceptible hyperactivity and impulsive symptoms. They often are diagnosed with depression, anxiety, and bipolar disorder. Me. They have higher rates of low self-esteem, also me, no, but also seriously, yes. More inattentive symptoms, less likely to be referred for a diagnosis. Yes, that was also me. I had my own ADHD story. I had to do more investigation to like really make sure this was something, because it's within my extended family, so it should have been a possibility for me, but it wasn't something that anyone looked in for me because I did well in school. I had to work so much harder than everybody else to do just as well in school. That's why I never thought growing up I was like smart. I considered myself more like clever because I was like,
I'm not actually smart. I'm like tricking everyone into letting me into these smart people classes because I'm working so much harder just to be in these, smart kid classes. I tricked them.
It's kind of fucked up a little bit. That's my story. It's stories I've heard from other people. Symptoms specifically for women is inattentiveness, so like zoning out, totally do that. Talkative, I won't shut the fuck up for us to actually react to this video, difficulty staying organized.
I need to talk to somebody about this because I am losing my mind. I just got out of the most insane doctor's appointment that I've ever been in. I was treated so shitty, probably more shitty than I've been treated by any stranger ever. I was shaking. My neck was red. I'm gonna just go home and then I'm gonna tell you what the hell happened.
Tell us.
Okay. I actually ended up having to record our conversation secretly because I was in such disbelief about what was happening and how I was being treated. I have to give you a bit of background. So I was diagnosed with ADHD recently, earlier on this week, and it was through an online telehealth appointment with a physician who talked to me for about half an hour. We did this whole consultation. It was very
That's also how I got diagnosed. You can't get diagnosed online. Just putting that out there.
clear to him that I had moderate ADHD. So he actually sent me a little assessment form to fill out because I would need to be referred to another doctor to talk about treatment and stuff like that, because on telehealth, they don't like to prescribe certain medications over the phone. They just want someone to see you in person. That sounds totally reasonable. So this is why I ended up seeing this asshole. And obviously the first part of the conversation I didn't record. He came in the room absolutely pissed, like just, doctors can be, they're busy and they have lots of stuff going on. You don't expect them to be like, every time they see you. But this was different. I mean, he sat down, he stormed in, didn't even look at me, didn't say hi, sat down, just was like, literally audible sigh. So what is this about? That word for word, okay? So I'm kind of taken aback. I'm like, I had an appointment on telehealth and I was diagnosed with ADHD and I'm just looking to seek treatment. I've done a bunch of research on the medications. I think I know one that's suited for me. And he can see that I have something in my paper, in my hands, which was a piece of, sorry, I'm just like still kind of. So So he asked to see what's in my hand. I guess he's assuming that it's the self-assessment thing, and I actually had it on my phone. So I was like, "Oh no, I have it on my phone." I was like so rattled just by his energy, and he took it and he looks at it and he's looking at it, and I was like, "So how are you today?" Like, just the tension is so palpable. So I just wanted to ask, like, maybe no one's asked him how his day's going. Mm-hmm. And so this is his response. "Yeah, it's fine." So he's looking through my phone at this checklist, okay? Checklist of symptoms. And he goes, "Yep, tick, tick, tick. Everybody ticks." So
I hate that. I really do. Because so many women are not diagnosed when they're younger. So then, recently with TikTok, people on TikTok talking about it and how they got diagnosed later, it like helped kind of showed that it is something that, women can experience, and you can still struggle as an adult with it.
Does that under his breath. And so I'm like, "Excuse me, what do you mean? What do you mean by that? What do you mean by everybody ticks?" Okay, you're gonna have to watch for part 2. And so I'm like, "What did you mean? What do you mean by everybody ticks? What is that supposed to mean?" And he says, he's not looking at me, of course, won't even make eye contact with me, and he's like, "Nothing." And I was like, "No, I'd really like clarification on that. What do you mean by that? Are you insinuating that I'm making this up?" And he's like, "I'm not saying that at all." Okay, what are you saying then? And at this point, I can tell that he wasn't expecting me to say anything. He's just being an asshole, and probably most people just have to sit there and take it, I assume. But anyone who knows me knows that I do not know how to keep my mouth shut.
And that's the thing. Women are less likely to stand up and say something in general. So that's probably why he didn't expect her to say anything. And then that also plays into the reasons why women aren't diagnosed as much. They're underdiagnosed. They don't really express themselves and talk about, their issues or how their family will be a burden, because that's how kind of society raises you and all that jazz.
And so I pressed him further. And that's when I started to record. Well, first of all, before I started to record, he said, "It just seems like a lot of people in Squamish have ADHD all of a sudden." Dude, do you realize? Okay, it's not like you can take a blood test. Like, I understand that people could incorrectly fill out this form, but it's not like we're dying to have ADHD and go on medication for no reason that we have to pay for every month. Like, are you seriously a doctor? Honestly. And so I'm baffled at this point. This is when I start to record. Okay, and I'll put that in the next video because it won't fit in this. But again, like I said, it's not something that you can do via blood test. So it's a checklist, yes, but it's also it's questions that you would also be asking me in person. The only way for us to figure out if I have ADHD is based on my own self-assessment. You should know this, doc. I'll put the
Also, another thing about that is that, even if someone did fill out the form wrong with their own self-assessment, if they started taking the medication, you would know, oh, they filled out this form wrong, they actually don't have ADHD because of the side effects they would experience. So when I started my medication, it was just, I would get nauseous if I took an empty stomach. That was my side effect. But it's a stimulant. If someone without ADHD took that medication, they would be experiencing insomnia. That's a very big thing, is that they wouldn't be able to sleep. And I slept great. First day I took my medication, because something that was during the questionnaire was, do you have racing thoughts? Right now I'm talking, doing all stuff. I haven't eaten breakfast, so I haven't taken my medication yet. So I feel like I'm talking really fast, and it's also kind of why I'm all over the place. But I was going somewhere with this conversation. The first time I took my medication, I was on the lowest dose. And immediately I saw a difference, because I never thought I had racing thoughts. I took this medication, I went to go teach, and it was like I was walking through a fog of gelatin. Like, my thoughts were just one complete thought at a time before the second one showed up. And it was so weird, because that's when I realized that for me, when I think it's one thought's going, and even before that thought is finished, my next one's coming, and then my next one, so they're slightly overlapping. And that medication, like, made me realize,
oh shit, is this the speed that everybody else thinks at? Because then I've been doing it wrong my whole life.
And so, like, there is a difference, you know. And I don't have insomnia for taking medication. Now I'm on even, like, 3 times the original dose. If you fill out the form wrong and, you know, self-diagnose yourself wrong, when you started going on the medication, you would have, like, these side effects that would show that you don't actually have ADHD.
And so I'm like,
if you could just one more time just clarify to me what you meant by that when I showed you the assessment page and you said everybody ticks.
The
I
sigh.
think you did mean something, and I'd really like clarification on that, please.
Okay, so I feel that I'm frustrated at TELUS Health because I feel that we're coming into an appointment here where you've not been seen for some time, and the work that they've done, they've not fed
Seen
back
by
to this
who?
office, so I don't have any collateral from what you obviously spent some time talking to the doctors there.
Okay, she says, he begins backtracking from gaslighting me and starts blaming TELUS Health. I'm seeing a doc. I am seeing a doctor. Is this not your literal job? What's even happening? Yeah, that you haven't been seen in a while. You're seeing the teledoc a lot, like, and they're a doctor.
So it's about trying to triangulate things.
Triangle.
So,
What the fuck?
in order to move forward, I want it'd be useful for TELUS Health to send me the copies of their consultations, so we're not reinventing the wheel.
I'm happy to send you that information. I have it here.
I love how as soon as she starts talking, he tries to interrupt her. Fuck that. She also says, before this, there was absolutely no effort to even have a conversation or a consultation with me at all. Wouldn't look at me or even speak to me aside from the digs he was giving me under his
Because that's
breath.
what provided to the
That's what it
patient
says.
after a TELUS Health appointment.
Well, that's awesome.
Okay,
Okay. So can you, if you have them right now, I'm happy to look at them.
sure.
let me pull those up. And when you said everybody ticks, as I was filling out that, showing you the form that was provided to me from the doctor as an accurate assessment of ADHD, of course I understand that people could tick the boxes as they would like to, but do you think I want to have ADHD? I've never been on medication in my life. I'm very scared about going on medication. I'd appreciate a little more tact from the physician that I'm seeing about this. And you said something that you need to realize is that we don't know that as patients. Like I've used telehealth quite often, and I always have success with it. I didn't know that they were limited in what they could do.
Yeah, and that's it is a frustration from my perspective because telehealth takes the easy stuff and I'm left with the hard stuff.
Right. Well, I think that
the hard stuff, meaning seeing a patient and assessing them for treatment, maybe not the job for you, pal. Yeah, the hard stuff, literally your job. I think the hard thing would be sitting down with a patient if they really don't know what their problem is. Going through and getting that diagnosis would be really difficult. Now you're just set with treatment. You literally have been given the answer. Now you just have to be like, okay, how do we address it? The hard stuff. What the fuck, dude?
it is your job, and you shouldn't make your patients feel like a burden on you for that.
Okay. Anyone feel the burden?
For sure. But you have, but that's fine.
So let's just breathe. Okay, so people with ADD have a really fucking, there's lots of similarities in how things present, okay? So yeah, the way you are talking to me and telling me your story, yeah, you probably got ADD, for sure.
Wow, seems like this was a long and unnecessary road to get to the result that we already know. Because I've already watched her video, I will say, because in later videos she explains how, like, he didn't, someone said, well, he's just doing his job. No, he didn't do his job, because in this whole conversation, he did not do like an assessment. He did not ask her the assessment questions, check the boxes. He didn't go back through that or anything. It was just once she stood up for herself, then he was like, okay, you probably have ADHD. And that was it. He didn't do another assessment. And that's the thing that pisses me off so much about this whole story, is that he questioned the telehealth doctors, right? He questioned them and whether they were good, like they can even do that. And if you're going to question somebody and say that they don't seem like they can do that, that's not their place to do that, but then you don't go back and double check their work, then why the fuck are you talking? Why are you even speaking? Why are you wasting the oxygen in the air to talk some bullshit and then not come back with evidence to prove otherwise? Because if you were really doubting telehealth, why didn't he go back and redo an assessment? Because he didn't. He has said, you probably have it. So he doesn't actually care whether or not she has it. He just, I guess, thinks his shit don't stink. He a better doctor than telehealth. I don't know. Pisses me off. So we're going to end the video here because it's 32 minutes and I have to edit the shit out of it. So we'll see how that goes. Hope you guys have a great week. I think we're going to be reacting to other things, and I will try to do a podcast episode soon for Advice and Shit podcast, where I just talk about shit, give advice, and just topics going on. But I will see you guys later. Bye. Well, you can't even see my hand. Bye.